like one more minute.
Yeah, because it's going to go into Zoom.
Yeah, no problem.
Got it.
Oh. Yeah, nothing would bring me more happiness. Yeah.
That would be.
I know, don't worry about the arms.
Yeah.
Hello, hello. Hello, there we are. All right. Hello and welcome everyone to Presidio Graduate School's 2023 Showcase. Thank you all for being here, attending. For those of you who are online, thank you so much for tuning in. As many of you know, my name is Stevie Roberts, C34. You may know me from some of my various roles here at Presidio, Student Financial Services Coordinator, Academic Advisory Committee. I shared with Kristen Albrecht, who's also a graduating student. Also, oh gosh, TA of Leadership and Economics. But I will say that the most important role that I've had here at Presidio has been student. I'm so honored to be a part of the 2023 graduating class with all of the presenters here today. And I'm really humbled and honored to guide you through this presentation for Showcase. These presentations are an opportunity for these graduating students to show off and highlight some of the incredible work that they've accomplished over their time here at PGS. And we have 8 incredible presentations ranging from co-op impact investing, heat resilience initiatives, sustainable apparel. So just really exciting stuff. And this is an interactive event, so please make sure that you're thinking about questions while you're watching these presentations. And for those of you on Zoom, feel free to place your questions in the chat box. We will absolutely get to those. So it'll work a little bit like this. We'll have our 8 presentations for about 8 to 12 minutes, and then afterwards we'll do a couple of minutes of Q&A. But before we begin, I want to give a couple of thank yous out. So please join me in first giving a big thank you to the PGS administration, especially our Dean, Maggie Winslow, and Emily Battaglia. Their support was really instrumental in getting this student-led event off the ground. And then another big, huge, gigantic thank you to our fearless leader who helped coordinate this event, made sure that it was seamless, that there was communication, whose hard work is the reason that we're all here today to be able to see these incredible presentations, and who also had a birthday a couple of days ago. So please make sure you say thank you and happy birthday to Isaac Nipfing. I've had the pleasure of working with Isaac a couple of times, and he is the best. So well done. Thank you so much. Yes, and with that, we're going to get to our first presentation with Megan Mayo. Those notes real quick. And while Megan Mayo is setting up, I'm going to say a couple of words and to the right, if you don't mind. There we go. So this is a project that Megan worked on in Capital Structures, which is an elective that's usually taught in the fall. It's a fan favorite, taught by Chad Spitzer, and it was in collaboration with Matt Sykes and Alice Romanoff.
The future of work is in crisis. The workplace is failing the worker, and we see this show up in a number of ways. First, the Great Resignation, with a record number of workers quitting their jobs. Second, research shows that more and more employees are feeling disconnected from their work. Third, younger workers are vocalizing how they desire more purpose in their job. And lastly, minimum wage, a cornerstone of workplace protection, is failing at its mission. Today, it's worth 40% less than it was 54 years ago. Worker-owned businesses offer a solution. Worker co-ops are for-profit businesses that are, as you see here, 100% owned by workers who sit on and elect the board, who in return hires the managers who hire the workers, creating a cycle where everything is democratically controlled by the worker. Worker co-ops are a proven model that increases employee engagement, wages, and wealth. According to the Democracy at Work Institute, 65% of workers saw their income increase after joining a cooperative. And worker co-ops are on the rise. The number of worker-owned businesses grew 30% since 2019, offering more workers the opportunity to find fulfilling work. Worker co-ops struggle to access traditional sources of capital, though, halting the growth of those that do exist. They are often not included in the impact investing space. With limited access, knowledge, and tools, there are not clear opportunities for investors to invest in worker co-ops. Banks and other lenders often turn away co-ops because they lack an understanding of the business model. So I am here to offer a solution. Today, I want to share an opportunity for you to participate in something to help build a regenerative future where investors can support the small businesses they love, in a future where workers can thrive. CCCF bridges the co-op financing gap. Our fund enables anyone to invest in a worker-owned cooperative to make a positive impact alongside a financial return. This is a way to directly support the local values-driven co-ops you know and love through a high-impact investment. Our first place-based fund, based here in the Bay Area, drives localized impact. As the only fund specifically dedicated to sustaining and scaling the Bay Area's regional cooperative economy, CCCF is filling an important niche in access to capital. We are committed to a mission of building a more just working economy through democratic ownership, helping to scale worker cooperatives by bridging the gap between worker cooperatives and investors. Our investment approach prioritizes regenerative finance. Unlike other forms of debt financing that can push borrowers into financial instability, either because of high interest rates or unrealistic terms, CCCF leverages finance as a tool for good. We ensure that our returns as a lender never exceed the wealth generated by the borrower. This type of non-extractive lending has proven a viable option and is used by competitor funds. We follow 3 non-extractive practices. We never require a repayment greater than profits. We don't require borrowers to put their personal assets on the line. And we don't use credit scores because of historical inequities around one's access to building credit. Instead, we mitigate risk through a comprehensive due diligence process. We conduct in-depth financial analysis of the borrower. We ask for a capital budget for new organizations and for expansions. And we ask for financial projections of income, expenses, and cash flow. In addition, we take a collaborative, hands-on approach to helping our borrowers succeed. Our fund lends to people in communities that have been historically excluded from access to economic stability. Black and brown families, women and non-binary people, immigrants and indigenous communities, low-income workers, and others that have faced the brunt of the extractive economy. We provide technical assistance to all our borrowers to address this historic lack of access. And because we know that this type of support is key to ensuring success for our borrowers. The return we offer investors is more than just financial. We report on a series of impact metrics that will allow our investors to see the impact per dollar they invested. We measure the benefits to employees in the form of salary increases, increase in earning disbursements, and increase in the number of employee owners. With our robust impact metrics, in addition to a financial return, investors will be able to concretely see the effects of their investments. We believe in local community investments, and that's why we've created the Bay Area Cooperative Development Fund, the first of hopefully many place-based funds. Trillions of dollars are invested annually, but only a small portion of that goes to small businesses. We want you to help us shift money from Wall Street to Main Street to the benefit of investors and community businesses alike. We are raising $5 million to invest in upwards of 60 co-ops. CCCF is for all investors. For too long, retail investors have been barred from making private company investments. Up until several years ago, few people could choose to invest in the small businesses that they frequent daily. Only high net worth individuals held the power of deciding which businesses to fund. However, through regulation crowdfunding, we offer two different investment opportunities. For as little as $100, you can make an unsecured debt investment. With a debt investment, you can expect a guaranteed return each year for the 5-year term. For a minimum of $500, you can make a preferred equity investment. Equity investments have the biggest impact because it gives CCCF more leverage and ability to carry out our mission. It gives the investor access to a potentially higher return. As an investor, you will be investing alongside other co-ops and local institutions. The fund makes both short and midterm investments to co-ops, and co-ops repay loans at a 5 to 7% target annual interest rate. With CCCF, you can diversify your portfolio and revolutionize the world of investing by shifting power into the hand of local communities. We provide stable returns with a lower risk profile and an opportunity for impact. Invest in a regenerative future. Invest in your community. Invest in CCCF. Thank you.
Amazing.
Oh, thank you. I just want to give one more thanks to Matt Sykes and Alice Romanoff for their support in this project.
Awesome. Wonderful. Does anyone have questions here in the room? Ooh.
Yes, my email is right there. You could contact me and we'll go from there.
No, this is in order for the question to be heard on Zoom for the microphone.
I got this.
So do you feel like you could show this type of model to businesses that are involved like in microfinancing? Because this business model is like an advanced version of something that you may want to support, which is actually very doable with the budget you have, where it's actually global, but you could bring it here as well, where people with access to the internet just give the exact bare minimum they need to start their own businesses. And it's a lot less expensive than here. So you could help a lot of people.
Yeah, so the business model of the funder of worker co-ops.
So if you turned the microfinancing organization into a co-op is my first idea, but like anything around that, right?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. First off, regulation crowdfunding is a great way to get money to small businesses.
Microfinancing.
Yeah, microfinancing. Did I say micro businesses? Anyways, yeah, so I think I agree that microfinance funds could be, yeah.
So these funds are like, okay, I need supplies and pay for this group of women, and we're gonna make jewelry, and then they sell it on the internet, right? But they just need like $100, and they go out and they're like, can someone give me $100? And you could literally give $100 to each one of them, right? And then they'll pay back their loan as soon as they sell their jewelry.
Yeah, I think
stuff like that.
I do think that this model would work well, and that could be a future opportunity for one of our place-based funds to invest specifically in those that seek out microfinancing.
Right.
How soon do you, well, let me ask the question differently. What are the key things you're looking for in terms of the maturation of the first effort here in the Bay Area, and how So how soon and how do you think you might replicate into other place-based funds?
Well, our goal is to raise 5 million in 2 years. And so we would want to run through that first 2-year period to see how it goes, to see how the fundraising goes, to understand the demand for co-ops. And while that's happening, we'd also be looking to other regional areas where there's strong networks of cooperatives. So we would be doing the research and the validation of the idea in other areas, but we would probably wait to start anything until we finish the 2-year fundraising period.
Knowing with great joy that PGS is good on systems, may I suggest that you, as you do that, keep track of the system you're creating so that it will be easiest to replicate. You're probably already thinking about that.
Yes, that's a great, always good advice.
Oh, yeah, making me run.
This is just a question, I guess, about co-ops. Would you say that there's usually a pretty like a value alignment within co-ops and kind of like the sustainability, social justice movement? Because I don't know a ton about co-ops. I kind of have an idea how they function, but the idea of like investing in like the place of San Francisco and it just goes out to all the co-ops in San Francisco, like, yeah, would you say that there's usually value alignment with co-ops and kind of like, I guess, the movement that like most of us represent and are pushing for?
I think the beautiful thing about co-ops is that it's the coming together of multiple people, more than one person working towards a shared goal. So more likely than not, more often than not, they are very values aligned, especially worker-owned businesses. It's not inherent in the model per se, but instead of driving towards profit, they're often driving towards either impact or driving towards sustainability, both in terms maybe of environmental sustainability, but also business sustainability. And so it's there's more than one person making decisions and figuring out the future of the business. So they often end up being fairly, values aligned in whatever that means to the people in the co-op themselves. Yeah, we have in-depth lending criteria.
Hey, Megan.
Martina.
I sort of a follow-up question on the lending criteria. Have you created any metrics for your initial cohorts of co-ops? Are they going to be from a certain industry, certain size of a co-op? Because that will make your operations much easier because you'll have a standardized financial analysis and so on.
Yeah, we do have criteria outlined. I can share our term sheet with you afterwards. We have specific industries that we're targeting, usually lower wage industries, agriculture, service industry, retail. And then in terms of the values that we hope that they bring to the business, we have that outlined too, help sort of streamline which ones we invest in.
Here, and then I'll come back around.
Thank you. I was wondering if there was any alignment with worker-owned co-ops and businesses that are trying to form unions or already have unions in place?
That's a great question. Something that makes me really excited is when labor unions and worker co-ops work together. I think there's sometimes a belief that they have different goals, but there's a lot of examples of unions and co-op, like a union existing within a worker co-op, because worker co-ops can have lots of different structures. They aren't necessarily a flat hierarchy. There's sometimes management still, and then the workers. And so there's, especially in larger co-ops, that there's that opportunity for unions to play a role in advocating for the worker towards management.
Well, we do have to move on. So those of you who do have questions, please find Megan afterwards. We will be hanging out and eating food. Thank you so much, Megan.
Thank you.
Hello. Next up, we have Relay Facilities Solutions. This team is presenting a business pitch, which was developed during their final semester capstone class with Vic Wu.
All right. Hello. I think we got it. Hi, everyone. We are Relay Facility Solutions. We, we help colleges maintain and optimize their operations by connecting them with facilities management planning, recruiting, and training services. This is Golden State Community College. It provides high quality, accessible education to its community. Its campus has a mixture of buildings dating back all the way to the 60s, but also has hyper modern LEED Platinum certified buildings and everything in between. These facilities have a Frankenstein mishmash of legacy equipment and state-of-the-art technologies. We're talking about boilers, HVAC systems, IoT technologies, smart meters, etc. It runs the gamut of old and ancient to brand new. Managing these buildings is becoming increasingly difficult for Golden State Community College. They now have to account for sustainability and public health demands. Increasingly stringent building codes mean they need to be able to operate complex HVAC systems, water, and waste systems as well. During the pandemic, they were forced to pivot quickly to really be practitioners of public health now and optimizers of how their physical space is utilized. So they need to reduce the risk of spreading infectious disease within their buildings. And additionally, in a post-pandemic world, they've had to accommodate even more systems for hybrid learning. And managing all of this has become increasingly difficult for them. Now, behind all this transformation is Frank. Frank's a facilities manager, so he's in charge of making sure that the campus runs safe, clean, and comfortable. And most importantly for him, most of the time when it comes down to the bottom line, efficiently. He enables this hodgepodge of systems to work. He's worked his way up from the boiler room. So over 20 years at Golden State Community College, he's super well respected and valued for his extensive knowledge of all these systems and the organization's operations. And he's shepherded the district through multiple crises, including the pandemic, lots of capital improvement projects, and day-to-day operations as well. So he's planning on retiring in the next couple of years, though, which he knows is a major problem for Golden State Community College. He knows he's barely been able to keep up with the flurry of advancements transforming the field of facilities management in the past couple of years. And he doesn't know where to turn to find help, to find a qualified replacement, somebody that can bridge the old and the new. Golden State needs to find a way to capture Frank's decades of experience and institutional knowledge and find a tech-savvy and future-forward manager to transfer this knowledge to before they risk disrupting their operations. And Frank is one of many people. Over half of the Franks in the country, half the facilities managers are going to retire by 2030. Now, this is Laura. She goes to Golden State Community College. She works in manufacturing by day, is pursuing an associate's degree in engineering technology by night. She's mechanically oriented. She loves being on her feet every day, but ultimately doesn't see a future for herself in the trades. She loves working with her hands and seeing tangible results of her work, and loves helping out her teammates even more. She wants to know that her work has a positive contribution towards climate change and is positively impacting her community. She's confused, though, about what job actually exists that affords her all of this and a competitive salary. What trainings and certifications does she need to make this happen? Who's going to help her with this? She really needs help bridging the gap in her career trajectory. And this is where Relay Facility Solutions comes in.
This one right here? Sure, great. Okay, so as Isaac said, this problem is pervasive around the country. Anywhere that buildings are owned and operated, this problem exists. Like he said, 50% of facilities managers are walking out the door in the near future, right? The solution to this problem, we believe, is there's three parts to this. The first is planning, right? This is one of the core elements of our solution, is a succession plan, right? Who is leaving soon? Who needs to be replaced? And almost more importantly, what's the state of the facilities that need to be maintained optimally into the future? The next part of this is recruiting, right? Facilities management is often an undervalued, maybe misunderstood field to begin with. So we want to make sure that people are excited to join this profession, right? That emerging professionals are excited to join the field. And the third piece is training. Isaac just mentioned there's a slew of certification programs and training institutions out there. that kind of focus on sustainability and so on. But there's a number of them to choose from, and it's a little bit unclear which trainings are meant for which roles and so on. Upon engaging with Relay Facility Solutions, this is kind of like the initial package deal that we would offer to a community college here in California. It starts with a complete succession plan, right? Our first goal is to get our eyes on staff turnover timeline, right? Who is retiring soon? Who needs to be replaced, and so on? And what do the next several years look like for the facilities management team? Then comes the facility condition assessment. Again, what kind of equipment, systems, and so on are in place, and how much longer will they be in service? When they need to be replaced, what will replace them, and what does it take to operate them efficiently? A training roadmap, right? Like we just said, there's plenty of training out there for emerging professionals in the field, and we want to make sure that the folks coming into these new roles are well equipped with skills and competencies to take on the role, and they need a bit of training on the job, which we'll provide for in kind of a holistic roadmap for that. Hiring criteria, right? Again, we want to make sure the folks coming in are well equipped to do the work. And in many cases, this might involve kind of rewriting job descriptions, reorganizing the structure of an organization, and so on, to make sure that what people are coming in to do is actually fit for what needs to be done to operate and maintain the facilities. And then this kind of rolls up into the relay, right? If Frank is leaving in a number of years, we want to make sure that incrementally his responsibilities are transferred to this new incoming team, so that he can start dedicating more of his time to downloading his institutional knowledge before he takes off. And again, this is that intergenerational handoff of skills and knowledge that is necessary to bring the buildings into the 21st century. Just a little context on the California community college system, this market that we're targeting right now. The long and short of it is there's 110 community colleges in the state, and the vast majority of them are what we would consider small community colleges. They have a sort of small footprint facilities wise. And even the small ones on average spend about $1 million annually in energy. So this is really where the value lies in the leverage that Relay can intervene, essentially to save loads of money. That is the ongoing value. The true core value that Relay can provide is cost savings. So in general, best practices in facility management can reduce energy costs by up to 10 to 20%, right? For a small school that spends about $1 million annually on energy, that amounts to, in the ballpark of $150,000 in savings. The flip side of that is poor facilities management practices can lead to 30 to 60% increases in energy spend. Again, for a small school spending about $1 million a year, it could be a $500,000 increase in energy costs. So the upside and the potential downside is huge for schools. And nailing this transition is really key to maintaining their bottom line and, again, bringing their buildings into the 21st century. Just a quick bit about the competitive landscape here, or maybe as Isaac named it the other day, the collaboration, right? There are lots of people working in this space, in what we would kind of think of as offering discrete services in one of these three key areas. And we're looking to offer a holistic kind of integrated solution. There's a couple firms out there that are sort of doing work across these lines a little bit, but by far and away, what we see mostly in the market is firms operating in one of these areas kind of discreetly, offering just their expertise in one thing in particular, which is really valuable. We see a lot of these firms as potential partners for us. So there's lots of folks offering facilities management specific recruiting services, similar to the training that we've said again and again. And on the planning side, there's a number of consulting services out there, other firms that are offering plenty of help for capital projects and thinking through this. We want to be in the center of this. We want to connect with everybody and sort of hold this ecosystem together. So.
Thank you, Taylor. So our strategy is, in our first years, we are targeting the $17.5 billion community college system market set aside by the state of California. Within that, we are focusing on 6 Bay Area colleges that we have identified as early evangelists. Operations and maintenance is the key driver of the state's energy spend. And that's where Relay can find the leverage and intervene to deliver value. The problem that Relay solves exists across the entire nation, across all sectors that use buildings, as has described by my teammates. California is just the beginning of what we are targeting. Jurisdictions with progressive building policies are a natural market for Relay's services, as they depend on sustainable building operations. And this is where we come in. We bring the not sexy to sexy. Isaac has been a sustainability guide for various facilities management teams in the commercial and higher education sectors. His technical expertise has helped save millions of dollars for building owners and has mentored 18 student interns and fellows. Taylor is working at the intersection of the built environment and the transportation sector within the rapid adoption of electric vehicles. I have more than 15 years of experience in the telecom industry, from doing R&D in broadband modems to helping the international community in telecoms to develop new protocols that we use today. And this is what we are asking. You can help us make connections with recruiters and trainers that can support our partnerships, like our presenter before. Who knows? If our mission and vision resonates with you, we would love to connect with you today. And here's how to contact us. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. Thank you, Isaac, Lisa, and Taylor. All right. Does anyone have questions in the room? Here we go again. Should have wore flat shoes.
See what the question is.
First, I just want to say it's so basic that I'm here to like listen to your ideas. I really appreciate them. But have you considered that best practices would be less efficient than best technology?
Yeah. So this is a current, case study in buildings throughout the world. There's a lot of fantastic technology that's being deployed that isn't being used at all. It's essentially a lot of building management systems and technologies that are designed by engineers to be used by engineers, and lots of folks that don't have technical knowledge and expertise in how to use these platforms. The potential benefits go completely unrealized in that. So the key to unlocking all of the potential that technology has, realizing that 15% savings really comes down to having a well-trained operator. And it's really about change management within an organization to enable that.
Absolutely, because my community college, Kenyatta, has a solar farm, right? And there's like a club to make the whole campus more sustainable with gray water and like automatic lighting, and they work really hard, but it's a big investment because the payoff isn't immediate. The infrastructure that you set up pays off for yourself in the future. But I could see how investing in the newer technology at these community colleges might seem like a less doable venture, right?
I'd love to talk to you after. I used to work at Kenyatta College, and I can speak to it specifically. And believe it or not, it's one of the more well-funded and technologically progressive schools in the entire country. And I think it's indicative of where the California community colleges are and the help that they need. Yeah.
So a question I have, and I'll make a statement first, because my colleague Maggie we talked about that. The community, or not community colleges, the state colleges in North Carolina are doing energy efficiency in a pretty massive way. And they're doing it by connecting sustainability leaders in those different universities. But they aren't doing it in the level, the sort of completeness that you guys are talking about, which I think is really exciting. So my first question is, do most of the community colleges in California have a head of sustainability of some sort? And is that person creating change around energy efficiency and building management? Are they, in other words, is the guy, I forgot his name, well connected to that kind of overarching support from the college?
Yeah, to answer your first question, increasingly so. Compared to community college systems throughout the country, California is definitely one of the more progressive ones. Still by numbers, it's a really good question. I don't know. I would venture to say it's definitely less than half. And it really depends on the structure of the facilities maintenance and operations team and where the energy and sustainability manager sits. Sometimes they're integrated and they have to work as a team. Other times it's the sustainability department and manager can be really like a bolt-on function where, they're there to maybe administer some grant funds. The facilities manager might not really have time or the capacity to really engage with them in a deeper way to institutionalize sustainability in the way that they would like.
Yeah, and I think that's a real opportunity. And to your point as well, on one of your slides, that's how they're funding a lot of the new equipment upgrades and things like that is through that improvement in energy efficiency.
Mhm.
Any questions online? Is there? Okay.
Yes. We can talk about green revolving funds too.
I just had a quick comment and then a question. Comment was, I think this idea is such a wonderful way to bridge the gap between white collar and blue collar jobs. Like, I mean, I think that there can be a huge divide even within organizations between the people who work in the field and the people who work in the offices. So trying to bridge that gap, I think, is so crucial to succeed with your missions. And I really do think that this is the solution to doing that. My question was, have you talked, like, I'm sure you've talked with facility managers, like outgoing facility managers, like what is their receptiveness to working with an organization like Relay? Are they really like enthusiastic about it? I know knowing some facility managers, there's definitely some curmudgeons out there who probably, just want to take their paycheck and go home, but
Yeah, no, it's a really interesting question. Yeah. I mean, we've spoken with a number of facilities managers, namely this guy that used to work at the school that I used to teach at, Frank, actually, his name was, sorry. And his reception around this idea was essentially like, yes, that would be really fantastic. And it's not really up to the Franks of the world to lay out the capital for hiring folks a little earlier so they overlap and have that time together for on-the-job training and things like that. So in a way, like the target customer here is not necessarily Frank, but it's Frank's boss or it's HR, somebody else with more decision-making power at these organizations that can help plan. This is a higher level kind of organizational exercise, right, than just in the facilities management team. But yeah, Frank's reception to it was, yes, this would be super valuable for these folks coming in. It is always, as always, a matter of time and money. So yeah, hopefully. Yeah, we think that the market in the California community colleges is kind of ripe for people to say, this is well worth the time and money. Yeah.
All right. Thank you all so much. Again, if you have further questions for this team, please hang out afterwards. Oh, let's see that now. All right. Next up, we have Steph Mata and the Heartland Experiential Learning Project. This is her team's final deliverable that was presented for Strategy for Sustainability, taught by Martina Dolshall in the fall of 2022. Haley Holburton and Justine Harper were on the team that made the original 30-minute presentation. The founders of Heartland Industries are here on Zoom today. Thank you so much for being here, Jesse and Tim. All right, Steph.
Okay. Wonderful. Hello, everyone. I'm really delighted. Oh, I should use this. Hi. Haven't used a microphone in a while. Okay. I am delighted to stand before you today to present the strategic roadmap for expansion of Heartland's production funding and revenue. So during the presentation, this has been set up for me to present to the Heartland team directly. So I'll be speaking to Jesse and Tim. So presuming that they are here. Hey, Jesse and Tim, how you doing? Thank you for being here. And as requested by the team, I'm not going to share the specific locations that we recommended, which I can only presume is because they took our recommendations from a few months back. Alrighty, so let's dive in. So imagine a world where sustainability is at the core of decision making, where carbon negative hemp fiber replaces plastics, and where farming itself purifies the air and regenerates the soil. Heartland Industries will help create this world through the process of engineering hemp fiber as an additive to plastics. The challenge that the Heartland team has been facing is how to strategically expand production, secure the raw materials for the supply chain, and acquire customers, grow the market share, revenue, and funding. So my team created a framework that I walk through with you today to achieve all of these goals. We also created several tools and interactive maps that I'll be referring to throughout, and I'll briefly show them at the end. So this is our strategic pillars of success framework. It is based upon industry leader interviews, on intensive policy online research, and a lot of farming professional surveys. From this, we developed 4 key pillars right at the top, the 4 triangles, and 2 core competencies, which are our bottom 2 trapezoids. So we'll walk through this from the top down, and we'll include some recommendations for success in each of these pillars along the way. Each pillar has a short, medium, and long-term recommended step. So pillar 1, secure the raw material. Farmers are at the heart of securing access to hemp fiber, the raw material, which will lead to seizing the hemp fiber market. In the short term, I recommend expanding locally in Michigan, where Heartland is already based, by leveraging the main farmer of Heartland, Ryan Peck. Utilize him to reach out to his network, because farmers listen to farmers above all else. Then, while you're doing that, reach out to the folks that we've shared with you, to the Heartland team, that we are calling the Ryans across America. These farming professionals have been identified as folks who are highly interested and able to lean into the hemp fiber farming industry. Then in the medium term, build that farmer relationship through providing educational tools on your website to support hemp farmers' growing success. With that, we want to add some roles to your team to help support the farmers. So we want you to hire a senior farming liaison and a farming success manager to guide the farmers towards success and profitability. Lastly, in the long term, maintain open lines of communication with the farmers. Continue to educate them and be educated by them. All right, pillar number 2, establish brand credibility. Here, visibility is the doorway and integrity is the key. Every stakeholder needs to believe in this product and in this company. First, patent Heartland's intellectual property. This serves as a protector. Staking the claim in the market as the first and only with this product eliminates many types of competition in the future. Then we want to build brand recognition through publishing the life cycle analysis. The data from the LCA proves the product's success. In the medium term, we want to publish several case studies. The case studies can leverage suppliers and customers. This proves that the product is replicable. In the long term, we want to remember that credibility isn't always lost through the product and the business itself. It can be lost through semi-related industry issues, such as the CBD boom and bust, and the lack of education across the board of the differences between these 2 industries. So continue that industry awareness, competitive awareness, and keep a keen eye on regulatory movements that affect all of these. All right. Pillar number 3, establish manufacturing partners. As mentioned in pillar number 2, with those case studies, we want to bring in manufacturing partners to collaborate on these case studies. The industries to focus on first are the polymer compounders and industrial plastics markets. The polymer compounder industry is recommended as a starting point because they're already early adopters of bio-based additives, and they're working on reducing their carbon footprint because they are a fossil fuel driven company. The automotive parts industry is a next good step because they are in need of lightweight and more sustainable products. And hemp fiber additives do achieve this. Master these industries, prove your product's performance on a large scale, and then you'll be poised to go into more competitive marketplaces such as paper pulping, where they have competition from cellulose and starch. So then in the long term, when it's viable to add more farms and add more facilities, then you can explore new customer verticals. All right, pillar number 4, increase customer demand. To begin with, focus on industries that are currently seeking those bio-based additives, the customers that are already asking for those green products. That's going to be your low-hanging fruit, and it's just going to help you build to the higher-hanging fruit. Then prioritize marketing efforts to differentiate Heartland's product through educating consumers on the unique qualities and advantages of hemp fiber. And for the long term, we want to build a really strong creative content and marketing team that keeps the marketing position strong and powerful. So now to the bottom 2 core competencies, which is hemp policy and regulation and sustainability. Policy and regulation intersects at the value chain across raw materials processing, transporting, and distribution of hemp. And at each of these intersections, there's ever evolving regulations, which could be a barrier to scale. So we suggest using our industrial hemp policy tool, which we created, to help understand hemp regulation by each state, and also hire a policy expert to support all stakeholders in this process. All of the farmers, your manufacturing partners, and your investors are going to be very impressed and also gain a sense of confidence in the fact that you have extensive understanding of all of the policies and regulations that will impact your value chain. And the bottom competency is sustainability. The mission and vision of Heartland is to create a carbon negative future. Every other step is built on top of this mission of sustainability. So I know we have a lot of recommendations, and so I've boiled it down to these 5 key steps. 1 is leverage Rhinepeck's expertise. 2, become the destination for the hemp fiber information. 3, expand the farmer networks in key regions. 4, patent Heartland's IP. And 5, publish 3 case studies. And very quickly, I'll walk you through a couple of the tools. The Farm Crops of America tool shows the overlap of hemp fiber growing registered licenses and where other main crops are harvested across the country, such as wheat and soy. Hemp is an ideal rotational crop, so these overlaps highlight prominent locations where expansion can be successful. And the last tool I'll get to today is the hemp farm policy tool, which is really helpful internally to find locations where it has favorable regulations for growing hemp fiber. And also the farm professionals themselves will be able to use it to help them comply with regulations. And that was supposed to be a video. By leveraging this framework as a roadmap for successful expansion, Heartland will be able to transform the market and create a sustainable future without compromise. Thank you so much. All right.
Good job. Great job. All right. I didn't put my running shoes on, but I'm ready. Questions? I like the repeat questioners.
Forgive my ignorance.
Yeah.
I don't know what hemp policy is like. If it's similar to cannabis in that it's kind of sporadic and it's state by state based, are there any issues with like trying to scale this on a national level and trying to like utilize like banks, because a lot of banks don't I guess finance or back up a lot of cannabis operations. So I don't know if that extends to like hemp.
Exactly. Yes, that is one of the key issues where when we spoke with farmers, when we spoke with manufacturers, there are some key states that have regulations that are on the up and up with the education of those differences between cannabis and hemp. But that is a main issue, especially just the understanding what those differences are and then creating policies to reflect those differences. So yeah, that is a huge factor.
Okay, first of all, I just want to say this is a very innovative idea. And I think there's so much potential, but you have so much work to do because so hemp is cannabis, but not all of it, right? Like it's like the plant is called, I looked it up to make sure. The plant is the same legal jurisdiction as cannabis, which the federal government, like you need to go to SCOTUS, right? The Supreme Court of the United States, and like bring up your case studies and like bring up all these things to get it legalized federally, because people are literally like in a state where it's legal to have like a hemp product, right? And they fly across states, and every state that they fly across, if they get caught, is charged independently for possession of an illegal substance. So if you wanted to make this like really happen, first you need to make it legal.
So there is a lot of legality. So to keep hemp legal, it has to be under 0.3% THC levels, and then it is legal.
But the growing operations before it's manufactured, you could say, won't meet those requirements. That's like a different part of the supply chain. And if you're gonna vertically integrate yourself and be accountable for the final product, I think that you need to you need to make every part legal, right? Like to be like a sustainable company. Like it's a very gray area in the United States what drugs are legal and what drugs aren't. But I would say that there is support that this isn't legal.
Thank you. I think that there is a lot of misconceptions about hemp itself. So farms get tested on the regular to make sure that their product, while it's being grown, is under the legal limit. If it is not under the legal limit, they actually have to destroy it. You're absolutely right.
Like make it exactly what you need.
I don't know if you can do a GMO thing. You do have to have specific growing conditions, and you have to be very knowledgeable, which is why Heartland will be having wonderful educational tools and a policy expert to support them.
Sure. All right. Do we have time for one more question? All right. No. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you, staff.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so next up we have a recording from Scott Hancock on the Tucson climate action. He couldn't be with us in person today, so I believe we're going to roll that footage.
My name is Scott. I am a C34 graduate. Really excited to present to you today. Really bummed I'm not there in person to celebrate with y'all, but excited to show you how my activities at this school have helped to energize Arizona's climate activities as well. Gotta first acknowledge that all of this work occurred on the ancestral homelands of the Tohono O'odham Nation, also known as Tucson, Arizona, where I live. My first semester, my course research introduced me to this table that would stick with me for the rest of my studies. As the world shut down for a global pandemic, a direct consequence in Arizona was an immediate doubling in heat deaths. As social services disappeared, there's a lot of good reasons for this, but I wanted to understand more, and I met with doctors to understand these numbers further. I learned that when humans are exposed to prolonged temperatures above that of the body's 98.3 average, systems start to break down. In August of 2020, we had a record high average above that 98.3 threshold. That year, 2020, nearly 40% of the days peaked at or above triple digits in Phoenix. Arizona is amazing, but the elements are deadly. My favorite class had us dabbling in civic leadership in our cities, and this project led me to stumble headfirst into an internship opportunity advancing the Tucson Million Trees campaign. This is an awesome program aiming to bring shade to our historically underinvested areas of town. And the connections I made from this summer neatly translated into an experiential learning project the next semester. I wish I had more time to talk about this. I had an incredible team and made real recommendations that found themselves in the city's climate action plan to the city of Tucson. The underlying truth throughout these projects was that we cannot live here in Arizona without artificial cooling, without electricity. Wary of a coupled disaster of heat wave and power outage that would result in catastrophe, I began searching for solutions. This path led me to discover community choice energy, that I now know to be the most impactful way for Arizona to prepare resilience for an uncertain future. Community choice energy, or aggregation, is an alternative electricity model that enables governments to aggregate electricity demand across their constituents and negotiate better rates. The CCE can go out and procure cleaner sources of power. The utility maintains delivery of energy in the grid, and customers' billing experience stays the same throughout the process while raking in the benefits. Today, Tucson is meeting resistance to establishing CCE because the pathways to benefits of CCE are not well understood by elected officials or the public. My teammates Rebecca, Bryce, and I believe a movement of engagement can advance success in bringing these energy options to Arizona. And so we crafted this updated engagement strategy for our clients, Arizonans for Community Choice, who is already making huge waves in the state's energy arenas. In 2020, shortly after, just some background real quick, shortly after she was elected, Mayor Regina Romero declared a climate emergency and began 3 years of intense community engagement to inform a climate action plan that came out in April of this year. CCE is included in this plan. It's pretty bold because we do not have enabling legislation for CCE in the state. Another obstacle lies in the newly split government that Arizona has. Conservatives hold a near edge in both chambers, while there's a Democrat in the governor's seat. This is a new normal for the government, with little governance being done. The CCE feasibility study bill was sponsored, but did not get a hearing in both committees because incumbent conservative leaders refused to bring it to the floor. At this point, our project goal became to understand how other regions have successfully adopted CCE and learn any lessons appropriate to Tucson's circumstances. The first city I'll talk about is San Jose. They arrived pretty late to the game. They had approved legislation hit California in 2002, and many other CCAs were established before San Jose's in 2019. They found it was easier not to be first movers, and the proof of concept kind of spoke for itself by the time they came around. They kept messaging pretty simple. CCE will be cheaper, it'll be cleaner. Even that San Jose had the trust of their residents, the city model was seen as the right path forward. Ohio is one of the oldest states that have electricity aggregation, but in 2011, when Cincinnati 2 pursued CCE, they still required vast education from the public on their ability to opt out of the program. This was necessary to quell a rising sentiment that this was an attempted government takeover. It's also important to emphasize that the bidding process would enable cost competitiveness and benefits for all. Massachusetts was actually the very first state to form a CCE in 1997, but it really only got moving once advocates began to organize across cities and towns and use their collective pressure and power to form a coalition and make impact. After over 200 communities formed CCE in the state, Boston too chose to pursue that path in 2019. But nearly 20% of Boston lives in poverty. They had to design a program and engage in outreach in a different manner to ensure the success of the program. Both the state and Boston recruited well-known advocates like Boston's Mayor Wu, built confidence in CCE, and their constant support for its benefits brought more to it. So from these examples, we're able to identify a few opportunities and barriers that Arizonans for Community Choice and Tucson should consider in pursuit. The first is sun. There are 350 plus days of sunshine that Tucson gets every year. There's a lot of solar economic development that's already happening as well. UVA has a lot of research in that. They're supporting a U of A tech park. Part of that tech park is this physical solar zone pictured to the right, where a lot of experimentation is going on and innovation is occurring. There's a lot of momentum from existing campaigns. The climate plan that just came out. There's an energy bill for a new franchise agreement with the utility that just failed. A lot of conversations are being had about that. There's a lot of current channels of engagement that can be coupled with this message and really mutually supporting each other. We also found from our research that Tucson's workforce is uniquely poised to support renewable energy by having many electrical engineers and relevant other professionals. They scored extraordinarily high on the location quotient metric, and this relative concentration of expertise is boosted by the University of Arizona's research presence. So a few barriers that we identified. The first is the utility. That's to be expected. They're not going to be happy with a new energy player in town. And the state legislature, which we talked about as well. So we recommend a plan for engagement because this is a quickly changing landscape. Even as we're doing this project, our circumstances and expectations were changing. And it's important to stay ahead and keep everyone informed. That's the lesson we learned. That's something that we took forward into what we crafted for you. This engagement is exactly what will make people believe that they do have a choice. To properly frame and inform our plans, we conducted a stakeholder analysis, breaking them up into these 4 relevant groupings and identifying where and how influence occurs, and what are the most direct needs and appropriate channels to initiate contact with these groups. This involved coming up with the sentiments that are likely to resonate most with a particular identity. What deliverables from a standard set do you need to curate to these messages, and what channels are best to communicate these through? We created a live Gantt chart to support this planning, and we provided the vision for each recommended deliverable, as well as some templates to help AZ for CC to craft this new media. Here's a list of the deliverables as well. So providing you with the stakeholder assessment, a survey to initiate this outreach, to start these conversations with these important stakeholders, a communications plan for that engagement, some relevant case studies and templates. Starting the survey right now, over the next month, we'll be drafting and curating these deliverables to these targeting stakeholders. And through this, we're hoping to begin communications to potential advocates to build brand ambassadors for CCE that will, before the next legislative session, have enough clout, have enough voice, influence in their local communities and across the state to make this a reality in the next legislative session by either influencing the decision makers that be or letting this opportunity in. So all this to say, Tucson is in a very, very powerful precedent-setting position to be a city that helps forward the Tucson, Arizona's at large community choice energy goals. That was some of this project's for school, but what's next? I am very excited to share with you is we're taking this out into the real world. Going to launch a statewide campaign starting with Tucson, rallying up the troops essentially, and connecting and initiating contact with other cities and towns throughout Arizona to form this coalition and initiate this statewide impact. Really excited for this next stage and what it means for our climate future. And thank you for coming through this journey with me. If you'd like to connect, my email is on the stage. Happy to chat about climate, Arizona. Happy to show you around Tucson at any point. Very, very just excited to be in this position. And thank you for listening to me again.
Yay, Scott. And I'm sure you all saw his email. We won't be having questions in here, but if you do have questions, please feel free to email him. If you didn't have a chance to copy that down, come find me or Isaac or Jen or anybody else at Presidio, and we can give you his email. But we're going to take a short stretch break right now. So just time to get up, stretch the legs, maybe a bio break, some water, and we'll come back for our last few presenters. Should be about 10 minutes. We're still on track for that. All right. we have, there we go. We have a presentation by Adrian Uphoff and Maggie Colina, Spinning Wheels Solutions. They're presenting their business venture, Spinning Wheel Solutions, developed during their capstone course this past semester. This business idea bridges both of their interests in sustainable food systems, from agriculture as a climate solution to values-driven sourcing and marketing.
Well, thank you all. We came together because we're passionate about a just transition and building more resilient, equitable food systems. And together, we wanted to know, how might we create a business solution that creates more equity for our smaller farmers while scaling regenerative agriculture? With climate adaptation, food security, and farmer livelihoods at stake, our project aimed to design a farmer-first service that connects buyers with local agricultural products while supporting small and medium-sized farmers during their transition to more climate-smart practices. For this project, we focused on one powerful buyer: universities. California universities are a great starting place for a scalable food systems transformation, and we'll be sharing our climate-smart farmfolio, which brings farm to university.
There are 400 colleges and universities in California alone, and we estimate that together they serve upwards of 10 million meals per day. There are also over 60,000 smaller, non-corporate farms in California. Furthermore, students are demanding more fresh and sustainable food, yet universities still don't source a majority of their food from the places where they live and operate.
So why aren't these buyers with a lot of purchasing power not sourcing directly from their neighboring farms? Through our research and many interviews, we've identified 3 major sticking points that are holding up the local sourcing process within universities. The first is a lack of transparent and complete information to help sourcing professionals make more informed decisions. The second is pricing and leadership buy-in. There are many misconceptions about working with small farms, and sourcing professionals often don't have the tools or the time to negotiate with leadership. And the third is a lack of data and metrics to help universities essentially connect the dots from what's happening on the farm to their ESG goals.
We see these problems much like that one squeaky stuck wheel on your grocery cart. You know the one, 3 of your wheels are gliding along no problem, but there's that one that's just stuck. Well, these are a few of those stuck wheels in the local sourcing process, and we're here to get them spinning.
So hi, we're Spinning Wheel Solutions, and we're a social purpose venture. We're on a mission to build climate smart food systems.
There are many organizations working in this space, like nonprofits and food hubs, but they often don't meet the distinct needs of both farmers and buyers. That's why we spent our time designing solutions that bring value to them both. We do the translating in between. Our business offering can be categorized into 2 parts: our Climate Smart Farmfolio and our Spinning Wheels Solutions website.
Our Climate Smart Farmfolio consists of small and medium-sized farmers that want to transition to more climate smart practices. We bring farmers on in 4-year cohorts, which is about the time that farmers can expect to see really big gains in their soil health. The cohorts also streamline the process for us, while also building farmer-to-farmer community and support. We supply the annual soil testing and have an online database that's easy for uploading soil and sustainability metrics. These farmers are then included in our online buyer portfolio for universities. So through this model, we offer an alternative to classic certifications, which can be problematic as the benefits often don't scale down to smaller farms. Farmers only pay for the contracts they receive. Our Spinning Wheel Solutions website is catered to university sourcing professionals' needs. It provides access to our database of farmfolio farmers, which can then be searched by product, by farm, and location radius. Purchases are translated into ESG data insights to help universities report on their goals. And all of our products come from our farmfolio farms, which are actively transitioning to more climate smart practices, which means healthier, more nutritious food.
So what does this look like from a business perspective? This is, we laid out our offerings on a business model canvas, which is what you're looking at here. And let's zoom in on how we tailored our distribution to align with the customer relationships that are needed in this space. We discovered that farmers often need to take calls from the field. So it's essential that we're available by phone so that farmers can call us when they're out working, and that any farmer-facing tool that we create is available on mobile devices. Whereas sourcing professionals need and want lower touch forms of communication with quick, easy to access info online at the touch of their fingertips.
Our MVP, or minimum viable product design, provides a way for university buyers to competitively shop for local produce from smaller farms. It was informed by the obstacles that procurement folks face and provides the tools that could help our products essentially address those sticky wheels. Today, we'll share mock-ups of 4 of our prototypes and the validation we received through our market research. One of the major learnings from this project was the lack of information available on local products. Most sourcing professionals only shop from their major distributors' websites, which only disclose the product, the price, and the quantity. Even for those who do make an effort to source more locally, a lot of professionals were unaware of any databases of local farms, and none were aware of any databases that gave more insights into the people behind the products or any sustainability lens. We provided the quote here on the screen, where a sourcing professional who is sustainability minded herself was left wondering how a database like ours might actually influence her own decision-making. So when university buyers log in to look for products, this mock-up shows a snapshot of what they might see. In addition to the product and the price, buyers can also find the name of the farm, the location, any self-identifying information like BIPOC owned, as well as ordering and contact info. This user-friendly database allows buyers to go deeper than just price comparisons. It gives a fuller picture of their sourcing decisions. They can search by location radius to fit their organization's definition of local, search by product, or any other sustainability criteria. Essentially, we wanted to create a shopping experience that gives more context and transparency, all while giving users nudges through intentional choice architecture design to make more sustainable decisions. Building off of this idea of showing buyers the people behind the products, we also wanted to provide the opportunity for buyers to learn more about their local farms. Our farm and farmer profiles share not only the basic business info, but also showcase farmer stories. Kristen here, which many of you may recognize, is a small farmer in Washington. She farms along with many of the biodynamic principles, and although she's not certified, she's organic and animal welfare is a high priority. She specializes in pork products and can even create custom cuts, and she butchers on site. Buyers can also learn more about the products, find recipes for specific items, and even learn more about each farmer's individual climate smart goals. Not shown here, but this portal also allows farmers to connect with other farmers. Much like a cooperative model, farmers can connect and share information, troubleshoot problems, and even share resources.
We also became aware, sorry, that got quite loud. We became aware of the need for more on-farm data that translates up the value chain. We heard from sourcing professionals what data gaps exist and what they would like to see. These metrics such as farmer livelihoods, soil health, and biodiversity matched up really well with metrics that are also important for smaller farms. Essentially, our service acts as that translation piece from on-farm data to buyers' goals. So this is our ESG data dashboard. This is what university buyers see as a result of their sourcing decisions. It's tailored directly to their unique ESG goals. If they have a sourcing local goal, we can show that progress. They can easily see which products have been transitioned to being produced on local climate smart land. And many universities have big greenhouse gas emission reduction goals, and we can show how metrics such as decreased food miles can support their efforts. They will be able to see in real time how their decisions directly benefit the agricultural land in their communities, such as those important metrics of soil health, farmer livelihood, biodiversity. This dashboard is a clear visual data tracker that can be easily shown to highlight the big impact that seemingly small food sourcing changes can create. Another insight that we repeatedly heard from folks in the farm to school space is that people in management are often barriers to creating change. So we created a free toolkit that sourcing professionals can help sourcing professionals generate buy-in from their leadership team. It includes helpful materials that can support conversations surrounding common business concerns, such as pricing and budgets and product availability. The diagram you see here translates many of the benefits of sourcing from our farmfolio into more traditional business acumen, including customer demand and navigating supply chain disruptions. As a free resource, it's also a strategic tool for our business to help drive traffic to our site and capture potential customers.
So that was just an overview of our business venture. And what we'd also love to share is a little bit about how this project began, where it started, and how we believe that this will work to make a positive impact for farmers, for universities, and to help build local regenerative communities with a quick video.
solutions, we believe that what happens at the small scale sets the pattern for the large. It's not showing up exactly how we want, but interesting. Stay tuned. It is. It's dang. Hold on. Pause. You could dance. We've it's playing twice. Maybe we can be, I don't know. There we go. Yeah, you can pick it up through the.
So why do we do it?
Okay, here at Spinning Wheel Solutions, we believe that what happens at the small scale sets the pattern for the large. That's why we need to elevate small scale solutions that as a leverage point for bigger systems change.
Through this project, we learned that the farm to school space is incredibly complex, and there are big systemic issues at play. In fact, that's where this business idea began. And that's why we've embedded equity issues and climate smart land practices through a farmer first approach that helps farmers get back to farming.
Our values and guiding principles speak to the types of relationships we wish to build. We take a lot of inspiration from the just transition principles, which advances ecological restoration, relocalizes consumption, and shifts economic control to communities. We employ a relationship building approach that brings people along for the regenerative movement, not pushes them out. We cultivate trust, all while taking a people-centered approach to sustainability and well-being.
So why did we choose climate smart? One of the opportunities inherent to this space is that the mainstream regenerative agriculture movement is only just emerging, and it's showing lots of benefits, including higher quality food, reduce synthetic inputs, improve nutritional content, all while improving soil fertility and the ability for farmland to adapt to a changing climate. And we want to help build that momentum. We chose Climate Smart as it's less prescriptive and also opens up clear USDA funding opportunities for farmers, buyers, and its spinning wheel.
We create long-term impact. We bring more nutritious, high-quality foods to our university dining halls. We help incentivize the transition to more regenerative, climate-smart agriculture by creating demand and a market for these products. And we level the playing field for smaller farms while also improving farmer livelihoods.
So thank you, and join us in creating more resilient local food systems.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have time for just one question. We're going to have to keep it moving. So does anyone have a question, a quick question?
Thanks so much. That was great. I'm curious, there's such a large ecosystem for all these schools in California. Has the pandemic or any other exogenous factor changed the demand for food on campus in schools in California? And what does that demand look like? Is it looking to be stable over time or go up or down? And how would that affect the ability to get such high quality food towards these students?
I think that's a great question. I don't know that university demand specifically as far as their food services is something that we projected long-term, but as long as students are eating on campus, the numbers that we looked at was that, for example, I think about it's $5,000 per academic year is what the average student meal plan costs. And with over 400 universities and colleges, there is a lot of money being spent on campus. But a lot of the sourcing right now, although universities do have some ESG goals surrounding local sourcing, I think about the maximum we saw was about 10% of sourcing is local. So there's a huge opportunity where even incremental change can make a big impact for smaller farms. Really good question.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Adrian. All right, next up, we have Jake Nash presenting Planet Labs PBC via recording as well. There's no stretch bake. Remain seated. Remain seated.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jake. I'm in C34, and I'm going to go ahead and present virtually today at Showcase, speaking a little bit about Planet Labs, which is the company I currently work for, the project that I've been working on, how my internship from the summer of 2022 has converted into a job role that I currently have, and talk about how this relates to sustainability and my teachings that I've been able to absorb during my time at Presidio. So I'm really excited to be here today and have a short presentation for you all. I'm going to go ahead and get started and give a little bit of background information on Planet Labs PBC as a company, the type of industry the company is involved in, and then getting into the specifics about the project thus far that I've been working on. So Planet Labs is an Earth observation company. The mission of the company is to image the whole world every day, making change visible, accessible, and actionable. So the way that they image the whole world every day is by operating a fleet of Earth observation satellites. Planet has over 200 satellites in orbit today, and they're planning on launching even more, including a new line of hyperspectral imaging satellites, the nickname of which is Tanager, which is named after a tropical bird. And I'm going to get into the details shortly about what that means and what the applications are for sustainability, as well as other use cases. So Planet Labs is also registered as a PBC, which is known as a public benefit corporation. As legally mandated for companies that are registered or known as a PBC, they're required to have a PBC purpose or public benefit corporation statement. I wanted to go ahead and include that in the presentation today and read a little bit about what that public benefit corporation purpose is. So the PBC purpose of Planet Labs is to accelerate humanity towards a more sustainable, secure, and prosperous world by illuminating environmental and social change. So this mission is really encoded into different aspects and different projects and different things that the company is taking on. So ways in which Planet can bring value commercially, socially, and environmentally is really something that informs everyday decisions as to what direction the company goes. And that's something that really attracted me to this opportunity and continues to be an inspiring and interesting aspect of my work here. So what I've been involved in is something that's part of the Carbon Mapper Coalition. So Planet Labs is a technology partner that's working across many different organizations in what's known as a public-private partnership. We're working very closely with a third-party NGO that's known as Carbon Mapper that is working on managing a global open data portal and also leading research, outreach, and advocacy efforts specifically around mitigation and detection of methane and carbon emissions all around the world. The origin story of the technology that's being developed by Planet begins with a philanthropic grant from a variety of different organizations, including Bluebird Philanthropies, High Tide Foundation, and a variety of others, to get about $100 million in philanthropic funding to accelerate the development of hyperspectral imaging technology that can be used to see beyond what is able to be seen by the human eye and into the different spectrums of light that is able to detect methane emissions down to the point source. So Planet is the technology partner working closely with the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory, as well as regulatory, philanthropic, and scientific and research partners within this whole story. So what I believe this is really a bringing together of a lot of different aspects that can highlight how we can have a successful partnership between businesses, philanthropy, as well as legal and regulatory, governmental, and academic institutions. And there's a lot of different applications of which I believe that this is relevant to. the learnings that I've been able to absorb thus far. So you might be asking, what is hyperspectral imaging? How is it possible to mount this technology on a satellite, and what can it be used for? So this is a variety of potential application areas for hyperspectral imaging that our company, Planet, has detected thus far, and that I've been responsible for conducting market research, as well as hosting meetings to get people interested in what's known as our early access program, where they can gain access to what's known as synthetic hyperspectral data. But with regards to sustainability, beyond the ability to detect, quantify, and then assist in the mitigation of methane emissions, hyperspectral imaging can be used across a wide variety of use cases, a lot of which relate to environmental management and sustainability. It can be used to gauge and measure wildfire risk. There's a lot of applications in agriculture and promoting a sustainable food system. There's different applications as well for supporting the markets around carbon offsets, measuring forest carbon, as well as measuring what's known as flue carbon, which is carbon that's sequestered in our aquatic and coastal zones and in our oceans. You can also potentially measure water quality using hyperspectral imaging. It can also assist in things like urban development, urban planning, as well as disaster management and measuring forest health, among a variety of other use cases. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the internship program that I completed and how that relates to the work I'm doing now. So last summer, I completed an internship with Planet, which I found out about through a Presidio Slack message, and then reached out to my person that eventually became my manager at Planet Labs. So Planet has a comprehensive internship program where they welcome a class of interns every summer, some of which are at the undergraduate level and some of which are at the graduate level, to work on a variety of projects. They also have a series of different types of programming to help interns network within the company, as well as grow and evolve and learn about different aspects of the earth imaging industry, the aerospace industry, as well as get to know people within the company and have different networking opportunities that come in a variety of forms, some of which I've highlighted here. We've had the opportunity to do demo day presentations, have weekly coffee chats, as well as do work that's specific to the graduate level, which is really great for my short and medium term career goals. So there's some future opportunities for collaboration between Planet Labs and PGS as both institutions and the company and the university continue to grow and evolve. Planet has an education and research program where they allow different organizations to access satellite imagery at a discounted rate to do scientific research. There's also the potential future for collaboration here on an EL project, which I think would be a really fascinating use case given the applications for sustainability that I've been able to describe. There's also potential job and internship opportunities, and then thought leadership more broadly, and interesting opportunities for collaboration that I'd be happy to speak about and explore further in the fields of sustainability, ESG impact, measurement and investing, as well as a few other areas. So if anybody's interested in learning more, I've included a series of links here about different media coverage of Planet. The most exciting thing, in my view, is that a book was recently released in early May of this year that's written by Ashley Vance, who's a longtime journalist who's also written a very popular biography of Elon Musk. And the name of the book is called When the Heavens Went on Sale, The Misfits and Geniuses Racing to Put Space Within Reach. So the writer of the book actually developed a close relationship with the founder and CEO of Planet, Will Marshall, as well as his co-founder, Robbie Schingler. And they've had a chance to work together over a period of about 5 years. And the book is really fantastic, and it includes a lot of information about the origin story of the company, how it was founded, and a lot of more interesting information about a few other companies in the space industry as well. I've also included some links here to follow Planet on social media and some instances where Planet imagery, satellite imagery, has been provided to media organizations to promote transparency in the world, where there's a lot of fascinating geopolitical activities happening, whether it's with regards to China, Iran, and a variety of other countries. And I wanted to include some highlights of how Planet imagery has been leveraged by the news media here. So coming to the end of my presentation, I wanted to go ahead and just say a sincere thank you to Isaac, Maggie, Stevie, as well as all of the other students that are presenting today. I've really appreciated the opportunity to present and share a little bit about Planet Labs and my experience working there thus far, which has been a highly positive experience. I also just wanted to say that I believe that detecting and mitigating methane emissions is a way that I've identified as a very significant and important role that we can play to mitigate and address the issue of climate change. However, I believe that there's many other ways that, of course, all of the students at Presidio are contributing to different climate solutions. This is a very technologically driven solution that involves very advanced science, engineering, as well as many other aspects that are going into this. I would just say very broadly, I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity that I've had at Presidio to learn about the climate change issue, as well as, of course, ground myself in finance, accounting, economics, understanding the language of business, but also understanding from a systems thinking perspective how my individual contribution can really come into play here in finding and contributing positively towards a climate solution that I really believe has a lot of promise. So my ability to think along those lines and approach these problems from that type of perspective is something that I really believe has come to my benefit, as well as knowing myself as a person and being able to leverage my skills and abilities and interact in a positive way with my coworkers in an industry that was completely new to me and continues to be a challenge from an intellectual and personal perspective in many different ways. But it's a challenge that I'm grateful to take on. And I just wanted to, again, express my thanks to everybody, and looking forward to discussing Planet Labs and how satellite imagery can be used to promote sustainable practices and support sustainable development goals all around the world, as it's an issue that I continue to appreciate learning more about each day. So thank you so much, and best of luck to everybody, and thanks again.
That was so wonderful. Yay, Jake. Yay, Jake. I wish you could be here. So again, if you have any questions, please make sure to reach out to Jake via his email, jake.nash@planet.com. So next up, we have another recording from Kate Vachon, Callie Green, Claire Nevels, Steph Mata, and Lauren Novak. Two of those members are here actually, so they'll be able to handle some questions for their submission to the IEN Silk Group case competition. Oh, and was there anything else I needed to say? Okie dokie.
Hi, I'm Claire Nevels, and I'm here with my colleagues, Kate Vachon, Steph Mata, Callie Green, and Lauren Novak. And we're here to let you know why we believe it is a good time to invest in First Solar.
We want a future where clean, renewable energy powers our lives without causing further harm to people or the planet. We recognize the urgent need to transition away from fossil fuels to mitigate the devastating effects of climate change. And we acknowledge that the production and scaling of renewable energy technologies must address the environmental and social impacts of processes like mineral extraction, water use, land use, and toxic waste generation that are inherent in these technologies. By investing in companies that are innovating to make these technologies ever more sustainable and just, we can not only address the climate crisis, but truly create a sustainable, resilient, and equitable future for generations to come. And that is why we are so proud to pitch First Solar as our investment choice. First Solar is a leading American solar technology company and a global provider of responsibly produced, eco-efficient solar modules that are advancing the fight against climate change. The company's innovative thin film photovoltaic modules represent the next generation of solar technologies, providing a competitive, high performance, lower carbon alternative to conventional crystalline silicon PV panels. From raw material sourcing and manufacturing through end-of-life module recycling, First Solar's approach to technology embodies sustainability and a responsibility toward people and the planet. Through supporting First Solar's current practices and through our shareholder resolution, we aim to not only generate strong financial return, but also create measurable social and environmental benefit.
Through an in-depth ESG analysis, we found that First Solar excels on the most important ESG metrics for solar technology companies. To guide our analysis, we used the SASB materiality metrics and added two of our own metrics, which included labor practices and DEI. Aside from DEI, First Solar outcompetes competitors on almost all metrics. First Solar is the only company with the majority of their operations in the United States, which makes them a leader in promoting domestic jobs and fair labor practices. They are also advancing the circular economy with their closed-loop manufacturing process and innovative end-of-life recycling program. Our analysis was confirmed through third-party organizations that included both MSCI and Sustainalytics. Overall, it's clear that First Solar is a leader in the industry, setting the highest standards for social and environmental responsibility.
Tying First Solar's operational excellence to long-term social impact, we calculated a social return on investment based on First Solar's anticipated expenses from 2023 through 2030, coupled with the estimated revenue and economic value of domestic job creation, in particular women and minorities, and the compounded reduction of GHG emissions. This gives First Solar a social return of $2,400 per dollar invested in the business through 2030. With regard attention to materiality, First Solar is a leading contributor to both the energy transition and the circular economy.
We next analyzed First Solar's financials. Here I have laid out some main metrics compared to First Solar's top competitors in order to illustrate the strength of First Solar's position. First Solar's quick and current ratios are either on par or higher than that of competitors, showing them to be in a strong liquid position. The revenue has been unimpressive the last few years. Under the most recent investments the company made in 2022, and projections of a growth rate from negative to double-digit growth in the next couple of years means that the company's revenue generation positioning is strong. First Solar's PE ratio of 29 is lower than that of most competitors. That, coupled with our strong growth projections and DCF value of the firm, indicates to us that this is an especially good time to invest in First Solar.
We were fortunate enough to have a chat with Jeffrey Osborne, a Wall Street analyst who's been covering First Solar since 2006. He highlighted the strength of First Solar, which are the competitive technology, strong sales as they are sold out through 2025 and most of 2026, and they have a secure hold on the market. Their risks, however, lie in the ever-changing regulatory landscape around subsidies for clean energy, tariffs on supply chain partners, and as well their management team. Their CEO and CFO both have financial backgrounds, which may not be the most suitable skill set for a solar technology company. That being said, where there are risks, there are also opportunities. Not surprisingly, Jeff currently has a buy on First Solar, as do we.
While First Solar is setting industry standards and operational performance, they're currently falling behind when it comes to fostering diversity, equity, and inclusion within company leadership, which we have identified as a grave risk given the wealth of research showing a link between DEI and business success. We want to see First Solar set specific, measurable goals and establish a timeline for achieving meaningful progress towards creating a more diverse and inclusive workplace, particularly at the leadership level, which leads us into our shareholder resolution.
We request that First Solar publish a data-driven strategy that includes a timeline outlining how the company plans to increase DEI within its top management and board level positions to a level that is representative of the communities it serves. Study upon study have shown that increased diversity leads to increased financial success and better shareholder returns. It also helps attract and retain talent, improve brand reputation, and strengthen companies' competitive position. Most importantly, greater gender and racial diversity is associated with enhanced creativity and innovation, better decision-making, and improved social and environmental outcomes, which is critical to allow First Solar to continue to be a leader in addressing the complex and interconnected challenges facing our planet and societies. This is not only crucial for First Solar's bottom line, but also for creating a more sustainable and just future for all.
This is our shareholder engagement roadmap beginning today in Q2 of 2023. To successfully advocate for this shareholder proposal, we must first build a coalition of like-minded professionals, such as BlackRock, who share our investment stewardship values. We'll present the proposal to the company's management team and submit it in Q1 of next year in accordance with First Solar's bylaws. To campaign for the resolution, we will reach out to other shareholders, leverage media outlets, and engage with the First Solar workforce. Finally, should this proposal go to a vote in Q2 of 2024, we will attend the annual shareholder meeting. And in conclusion, by investing in this innovative and impactful company, we can harness the power of clean energy to combat climate change, improve the lives of communities around the world, and create long-term sustainable growth. First Solar is poised to continue leading the way in renewable energy, and your investment can play an important role in driving this critical work forward. So let's seize this opportunity together and build a better, brighter future for all of us. Thank you so much to the many people who supported us through this project, and to the IEN team, and for all their hard work in putting this together. This is an incredible challenge.
Yay. And I will mention, this was the winning submission. So they won. Yeah, Steph, Callie, if you want to come up and answer just a couple of questions. We do need to keep it rolling, but does anyone have any burning questions at the moment?
This is on. So in Q2, when we did propose this, they have increased 16% since we proposed this. Their share value has increased 16% since we proposed it. That's a good way to say it. So just saying.
I just want to point out that that's a terrific example of the fact that starting a process is sometimes the best opportunity to create change. So presuming you might have talked to them and maybe that helped a little, yes? You've already presented them the proposal, right? And they've already made some change. Am I understanding that properly?
Do you want to answer that?
So this challenge really is about teaching students about impact investing, and in particular, the change that we can make through shareholder activism.
Oh, I
which
know.
is why the shareholder proposal was a big part of this.
Yeah.
That being said, we have not proposed it yet to First Solar because we don't have enough money to invest.
Fair enough. Okay. And
Get to that point.
so,
So if people want to fund that for us.
No, let me skip over and say, when you create a conversation with a company that results in actual change within the company without a shareholder resolution, you save shareholders a ton of money and you still create the change you want to create. So good for you.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do one more question and then we will move on.
Hi, this is great. I really don't want to say it, but I am going to say it because I think I should. There's a lot of potential as to how profitable this would be because China is selling the first solar panels for a very fair price, you'd say, but there is some speculation that it's dumping because they have had radical innovation in the solar industry. And this is like, they're like offloading the old tech. I read about it for a class at a school for my bachelor's degree. We did like a whole project on First Solar, and there's research you should do on China. Sorry.
What is
Is there a specific question that
My question is, I'm so sorry. No, I don't want to take any more time.
Okay, well, you can ask it when we convene. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. All right. Fantastic. So now we are at our final presentation. Miss Julia Feldman, on behalf of Newbie. Julia is presenting a business case of Newbie, a sustainable fashion startup founded by Kristen Albrecht, another PGS C33, woot woot. Kristen and Julia worked on this project in the integrative capstone project with Professor Vic Wu, focusing on what it looks like to scale a business sustainably and in service of their values.
Thanks, Stevie. Hi, I'm so excited to be here presenting in front of real people today. This is very exciting. And to kind of wrap up this whole amazing day of presentations. So let's get started. The fashion industry is the third largest polluting industry in the world. It's estimated that 92 million tons of clothing end up in landfills every single year. And not only is the fashion production extremely environmentally harmful with toxic inputs and dangerous working conditions, but our society has adopted a disposal mentality throwing away clothing at faster rates every single year. Out of the global workforce of 3.4 billion people, about 430 million people work in fashion, clothing, and textile production. So this industry impacts us all, not just if you're working in it, but as you can look around, we're all wearing clothing. So we all participate in this industry. So that's where Newbie comes in. Newbie is a hyper-intentional, sustainable fashion company founded in 2019 with the vision that you can do good and make money. We used our capstone class at PGS to further validate this belief. Newbie was founded on the idea that large fashion companies today have achieved their level of scale and success by externalizing their costs, both environmental and social, and they've benefited from those costs. At Newbie, we are actively trying to do things differently. We make every decision with the intention of holding ourselves and our customers accountable for the social and environmental impact of our clothing. We're trying to prove to ourselves and the broader industry that you can do good and still make money. So back in 2018, Kristen, who you have seen quite a few times today, was working as a fashion supply chain manager for brands in Los Angeles. Every single day, she was faced with the massive amounts of waste that each brand created and the challenges of advocating for the people who are manufacturing the clothing that we wear. When one of those brands went under, she had the opportunity to step in that role and develop her own brand and do something new. So she decided she would do things a little bit differently. She launched her first collection with Newbie in 2020, and she hasn't looked back since. And I joined Kristen after meeting her through PGS in January of 2022. I work primarily on brand strategy, sales, and product development with her. So together this semester, we reoriented ourselves around the brand with all of the learnings that we've taken from PGS and thinking about what scaling this business sustainably means to us. The conclusion that we came to this semester is that despite a global pandemic and despite the entire world flipping upside down, we stayed true to the original intent of this brand. We believe that we can use clothing as a platform to spark mindful consumption. We believe if people feel more connected to their clothing and more aware of its impact, they'll choose to support businesses and people that align with their values, which will help the sustainable apparel market grow. While we aim to grow this brand, we will not do so at the sacrifice of our values, and we believe that our customers will respond positively to that. So now that you know a little bit about the brand, I want to share a little context around the target market and the potential opportunity. So the fashion industry is a massive global industry with a total addressable market of $1.5 trillion. Zooming in a little further, the US apparel market is over $364 million and has a compound annual growth rate of about 1% to 2% a year. But we consider ourselves to be part of the US sustainable apparel market, which is capped at about $7 million right now. However, this market is growing extremely fast and is expected to grow by 10% in the next 5 years alone. So Newbie is one of the first movers in this market. We've built our business model on being leaders in the sustainable fashion movement and are capitalizing on the growing consumer demand for sustainable products. We've also created a competitive advantage in this market by pioneering the hyperlocal sustainable fashion supply chain, making all of our clothing in the US with sustainable materials and in collaboration with artists. In an effort to emphasize community and connection to our clothing, we create each capsule collection with a different artist, making unique small batch designs. We manufacture everything in the US through our ethical and transparent supply chain in Los Angeles, which is pretty unique considering that most of our clothing is right now produced in Bangladesh or overseas. And finally, we intentionally choose each material to have the lowest impact. We have offerings of recycled polyester and recycled cotton and are expanding our materials offerings every season. Through these three main differentiators, we've set ourselves apart from the rest of the competition and really have cemented ourselves as a leader in the local sustainable approach. We've also identified a target market within the sustainable apparel market who really resonates with our brand. And we believe that if we build our product and speak to that core consumer, others will follow and aspire to their authenticity. So we really focus on developing product focused on this core consumer of creative leaders and organizers. They're hands-on, they're vocal, they're constantly expressing themselves, and they want unique clothing that sets them apart. That's where we come in with our artist partnerships and our values-driven products. Then we have aspiring creatives and activists and social creatives who really look up to this core audience as people that they want to aspire to be like. And so we can build our product for the core and speak to the masses. So the ways in which Newbie offers solutions for this consumer need, these consumer needs include wanting to stand out with clothing that's high quality, that's stylish and versatile, that supports their active lifestyle, but ultimately that aligns with their values. And what we offer is a sustainable and ethical alternative to fast fashion that supports their beliefs in a more meaningful way to connect with their clothing. So through our time at PGS, we've gathered some insights that we'll be taking with us as we continue to grow this business. Firstly, and maybe most importantly, is intentional scale. We want to intentionally scale this brand by achieving a reasonable level of growth without sacrificing our values. We believe that success can be measured in many other ways than just profitability, and we'll be measuring our environmental and social impact as well as our financials as an indicator of scale. Second is transparent leadership. Being such a small brand has many advantages, like being able to pivot quickly, but it also has its drawbacks. And we want to continue to lead with transparency, not only among ourselves, but with our consumer, making sure that they understand our impact and understand every decision that we're making for the business. And lastly, we are constantly evolving. And that kind of cues me up perfectly to explain the origin story behind the name Newbie. Newbie was named after the idea of being a newbie. It's a mindset. It's one of constant evolution. It's when you're a beginner and you're not afraid to try new things, take risks, or be afraid. So we're just owning it. We're embracing the idea that we are going to be constantly a work in progress, and we'll continue to do our very best to be leaders in the industry, but we will make mistakes along the way. We know we'll get right back on track if we continue to be guided by our principles and looking to create a better future for the planet and the people on it. And the future is pretty exciting for us. So circularity is a big part of our business model and part of our product design. So this is an initiative that has been in the works for the years, but we're coming close to an official announcement of this partnership with Newbie's sister company, Ravel. So recycling fibers has been extremely challenging in the apparel industry thus far, especially with mixed fibers. And that is a fiber that is combined with another fiber. So for us, recycled polyester utilizes a polyester base, but it also is blended with spandex. That's what makes our clothing stretchy and comfortable. Recycling a blended fiber has been impossible up until this point. Ravel is working on technology to recycle this fabric all the way down to the fiber level, which is extremely exciting. So we believe at Newbie that circularity is the business's responsibility and not just the consumer. For us, it's an opportunity to educate our consumer and connect deeper with them. And circularity starts with the design of every single product and continues through the life cycle. So at Newbie, we've designed every product to be fully recycled at its end of life. So Newbie will be the first brand that partners with Ravel to completely recycle our products all the way down to the fiber level, something that really has never been done before. And I encourage you, if you are moved by this presentation, if you're interested in Newbie, you can take out your phone and scan this QR code to follow along on our journey, see where we go, what we end up doing, engage with us online. Some of the asks that we have of you as an audience is to follow along and really do engage with us. We're learning, we're growing, and we would love your support, your feedback, your connections, anything you'd like to share with us. So here's our website. And thank you.
Oh, stay up there. All right, time for just a couple of questions real quick. And also know that we are going to be hanging out and getting refreshments, so you can also ask questions as well.
First of all, I think it's a brilliant idea, and I've seen some of your products, and I think they're high quality.
Thank you.
What are you doing to reach out to market? Is it more word of mouth? Is it social media? How can we find you?
Oh, great question. We are on social media. We have an Instagram, and as of this week, we are on TikTok, which is a big step for us non-marketing people. We are using social media. We're also exploring some other advertising opportunities like paid advertising on YouTube, Spotify, other platforms like that. But we found that word of mouth actually is our best form of marketing and recommendation. We really want to focus on building a community around the products, which is why we're so values driven and trying to tell our story first, because we want the people who are wearing the clothing to be our main advocates and be the people that, you know, are sharing with their community, their friends and family, and growing it more in that grassroots way. So we're trying to do a little bit of both with limited resources.
You talked about how much more people are throwing away their clothes now. Did you do any research to find out if people know more about their clothes and who made it, et cetera, that they might become more attached to their clothes and not throw it away as much?
Yeah, that's a very great question. And at this point, it's just a hypothesis, more so from our own exploration with our own communities rather than like legit research per se. But that would be really interesting to do some sort of survey around that and understanding whether or not people gain more sentimental value from understanding the impact of their clothing.
All right. Thank you so much, Julia. If you have further questions for her, she'll be out there. Well, that concludes 2023 PGS's showcase. Thank you all so much for coming. Let's give everyone one more round of applause. Yes. Yes. These are our future change makers, and please keep your eyes out for them for their bright futures ahead. I know that many of you will probably agree with me, but I'm really grateful for the exploratory space that Presidio has provided all of students here to really grow and to also question how we can together improve business practices to achieve better environmental and social outcomes. The educational experience at Presidio continues to be exceptional and timely. So on that note, it is my pleasure to introduce Presidio Graduate School's president, Liz Ma, to talk a bit more about PGS, the past, and the next steps.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stevie. Let's have another round of applause for Stevie, because what a great host. And our team also really wants to thank Isaac for all his leadership in putting on this amazing event. So thank you. Yeah, thanks. And I will be brief because I know I'm between you and food and drink, don't worry. But I did want to just take a moment to reflect that 21 years ago in Seattle, Washington, and 20 years ago here in the Bay Area, our founders had a vision for a different kind of graduate business education. They wanted to set up a model that would challenge the status quo for graduate schools across the country. They wanted to integrate social and environmental themes in every course and not just put them on the side of a lecture here or there. And they also wanted to put the student front and center, where the entire experience would be to enable students to find their passions, like the ones you heard about today. And I'm so proud of our program. Our program does that so beautifully. They challenge students to reinvent business models, to be real pioneers and see things in a different way, and to be really creative innovators in how they want to approach these big intractable problems. Our students are not just worried about growing market share, but as you just heard, they're growing market share intentionally and thinking about all the stakeholders involved in that. It's quite amazing. And part of that program amazingness is about our faculty. And we do have several faculty here. And so I do want to ask them all to stand up, Maggie and Dwight and Martina. Thank you all for the work you do every semester inspiring these students. You're incredible. And many more faculty, of course, who are not here today. And I also want to thank the Presidio staff who are here, who do it all behind the scenes to make everything work. So if you all want to stand up, just real quick, Presidio staff. Diana, who snuck out earlier. And finally, I want to thank all of our graduating students. If you're graduating this year, can you please stand up? I want all of you to know that we really want to keep you involved. Presidio is about to change our location as we have in the past, and also change our institutional formation as we have in the past. But even with that, what always has remained the same about Presidio is our mission. and the culture and the broader community. And that community is going to be here for you in the future. And we want you to stay a part of that and continue to build it over time. We love you all and we wish you the best. And thanks for being wonderful Presidio students. So we'll miss you. And with that, we have a lovely array of food and drink. So please build more community outside. Thank you so much for coming.